Can you tell us about your character at this point?
Sabine Lommers. Apparently it's pronounced Lommers. I say Lommers. Potato, potato. She is a very high-ranking federal official with a medical background and possibly a legal background as well. The equivalent in real life, the person who would have this job would have been directly appointed by the president. And she's it's a very high status character to play as an actor, but from a story perspective, she only comes in when things can't be handled at the local and state level. And the stakes are so high that if this isn't handled right, there may not be America left. I mean, it's really, the stakes are that high. She's very experienced. She went through the whole tragedy of Sierra Leone and having to manage Ebola and learning from those mistakes, and she really wants to do things differently this time for the sake of the population. And that makes her rather unpopular. So I nickname her the Bad News Barbie. And it's really interesting because she's in this dynamic with people. You know, probably the key relationship for her in this season is with Flex. She hires him because he's a good person and she believes she can trust him, and she believes that the people will trust him. And while she hasn't exactly spent her life cultivating a sunny personality, she needs someone that's going to be in relationship with the people inside the cordon, and that's his I was going to say arrondissement like Paris, but that is his particular beat. That's where he's been in relationship with the people and the public for years. And it's a really difficult task because she's now going to ask him to do things that maybe are not popular either. But she believes that the people's trust in him will be the defining difference in this going well and going smoothly, because if fear starts to creep in, then chaos will reign, and that doesn't bode well for the population. Based on the nature of the virus and how quickly it escalates, in the pilot we talk about the fact that it has 100% fatality rate. The odds are not good.
So does she know like what the real deal is with the virus and how everything started, or is she learning as everyone else is kind of along the way?
I think that first of all, she's had experience with viruses such as this. It is a different virus because it's not a slow burn. It works so fast, and it is realistically, when we talk to members of the CDC and we talk to epidemiologists, they said it gets to a certain point where a virus will mutate. So it's normally animal to animal, and then suddenly a strain of it mutates, and it can be transmitted animal to human and then human to human. So she understands how dangerous the situation is, but there's a lot of elements she can't control anymore because of social media and the immediacy of the internet, and things are going to get away from her rather quickly. So I think she's as prepared as she can be going in, and she knows she may have to make some very drastic decisions. And the cordon sanitaire that she institutes is quite drastic but necessary. How much she knows, I think, gets revealed throughout the first season. We were told, a couple of the actors were pulled aside, and we were told a really juicy secret, and I was like, I don't know if I can sleep at night now. I felt like a 3-year-old that had been told something that was going to be extremely hard to keep quiet, and it sort of, it changed my perspective on her and the show, and what it is to play a character like this, what that means. You know, I think the theme of information and how much is shared and how much must be kept away from the public for their own sake is a very interesting sort of story to tell. It creates an interesting tension.
These are very real-world themes, and you mentioned Sierra Leone and Ebola. Do you reference kind of these things on the show?
Yes, absolutely. And you learn more about her. It's really fascinating the way the story is sort of woven. You know, you just get these beautiful openings with each character as we follow each of their storylines, that you just start to learn more and more about them, and it's a beautiful unfolding, so that it's subtle storytelling. One of my favorite shows this year has been Bloodline on Netflix. I mean, every time I think about Ben Mendelsohn's performance, is the most nuanced, extraordinary performance I've almost ever seen, or perhaps have ever seen. And so it's sort of drip feeding, I think, for each of the characters. And I think Sabine was very, even though she doesn't show it, she's been a lot more personally and emotionally affected by and invested in the events that she's participated in her life professionally. And we start to see, the cracks in her facade a bit as the tension builds. And she's very isolated. I think it's a very lonely position to be in. What's amazing about this show to me, I think we ask a lot of the audience because it's a very bold move to set this rather than setting it in a dystopian parallel universe so that we don't scare people on it, so that it doesn't feel didactic. We're actually setting it in a real city with the real CDC, with the real information, with a very realistic virus. In return, I think what we give the audience is really juicy relationship, character-based storytelling. And it's delicious for me, when I read the scripts, to see how these relationships build and how they affect everyone. And it's, it's something that we talk about a lot when we're talking about this show, is that ordinary people in ordinary positions are going to be asked to do extraordinary things. And I think it's fun to think about who we would be, what we would do, what would become of us. You could do those zombie apocalypse tests online or on Facebook or whatever. And we're like, oh, well, I'm a zombie expert, so I know that I'm going to survive a month, and everyone can come and live with me. And then you actually do the test and the computer says, no, you'd last 2 days. And that's sort of what Containment's been like. It's like, who are these people and what are they going to do? And there's a really fun episode that, Lommers isn't in that particular storyline, but watching people be really resourceful because we see that human need to survive at all costs, and having to be smart about it, and what happens, why do we make mistakes, and what has happened, what has affected us to the point where we have made a mistake and we've messed up, and what decisions do we make and what are going to be the consequences of those decisions. And sort of seeing these people pulled apart, and very much hopefully everyone will invest in these relationships and these characters and really be gunning for them to find their way back to each other. And in the meantime, poor Lex and Lommers have the onerous task of managing a city in chaos, or trying to manage the chaos, but a city in